Hey everybody, welcome back to Great Northwest Weaponry. This is Thomas, and today we are taking a look at another Mark VI revolver. This time, a actual Webley dated 1919, and this one has a cool little feature. This is an Australian contract example. I no longer have the Enfield Mark VI that we looked at way back when. It was actually before we established the gun room, so this video will be basically an update on that video. We'll mostly be taking a look at markings. I'll kind of do a brief summary of the history again, but since we'd already done that previously, I will probably just be linking the original video in this video's description. So if you are interested in more background on how the Mark VI revolver came to be, definitely check out that video along with this video. But we've also got a handful of announcements. So this particular one was, I'm mushmouth here. This particular example I introduced in a first shots short. This is the first time that we've taken one of those and gone from the first shots short into a actual demo. That is my intention for every gun that we do a first shots short video on, is to eventually do a demo of them. And with that, the shorts have been getting a ridiculous amount of attention. I know we mentioned this in the last full-length video that we did, but I'll definitely be continuing with the first shots shorts indefinitely. We've, up to this exact moment, done all of them that I personally own, but my friend Dylan does have a few that we haven't taken a look at yet. At least a rifle and a couple pistols. I may be forgetting something, but I do have another one coming in the not too distant future as well that we'll be taking a look at as soon as I get it. It's a Radom Viz. I'm really excited about that. But I'm thinking about doing some more shorts as well, and I do plan on keeping to the every 10 days full-length video schedule. But I'm thinking in between I'd like to do one or two shorts going forward, again, indefinitely, whether it be a first shot short or something else. I'm thinking about trying to get a setup to do maybe some first-person shooting, like little FPS shorts with guns that we've already taken a look at in the past. Let me know what you guys think. But anyway, with that little shorts update out of the way, let's go ahead and go into the gun room and talk Mark VI revolver history. A brief overview of the Webley Mark VI history. First off, Webley revolvers in general were used by the British military from 1887 all the way until 1963. And that use was unbroken from 1887 until the end of Webley's production of the Mark VI revolver in 1923. So the Mark VI itself was adopted officially May 24th of 1915 to replace the Mark V. The biggest noticeable difference is going to be your grip shape. The handle was flattened from what was originally a bird's head on the Mark V, and everything from the Mark I to the Mark V, I believe, was that bird's head shape. Also, the front blade sight can be removed on a Mark VI pretty easily. There's a screw that can just be pulled out, and then the front sight can be removed if bent or broken. Again, going back to Webley's production of the Mark VI revolver, they produced it from 1915 until 1923. That is not when the Mark VI revolver production actually ended. That is when Webley's production of the Mark VI ended. From my understanding, and I'm unclear on this a little bit, but 125,000 Webley Mark VIs were made, is my understanding. It could be 125,000 overall. Enfield, RSAF Enfield, would begin producing them in 1921 and would continue clear until 1926. So when you see Webley production, 1915 to 1923, that is specifically referring to Webley producing the Mark VI revolver. We have already looked at the Enfield Mark VI revolver, and I do think in that video I was a little confused about the dates, because when looking it up, again, you're mostly going to see the cutoff date as being 1923. They didn't really stop being made until 1926, and even in that video, the revolver that I had was a 1924 dated example, and it did have British proof marks on it for the military, so they did keep on making them for a while. It would not be declared obsolete until 1932, actually. At this point, it'd be replaced by the Enfield No. 2 Mark I revolver, the potential ripoff of the Webley Mark IV 38. We've gone over that a bit in our demo of a Webley Mark IV 38 that we have. You can't see it in screen, but it's right over there. Again, approximately 125,000 were made, and I'm not 100% certain if this is all total or just from Webley themselves. Again, they would be considered obsolete as of 1932, but they did remain the favorite of many a British officer clear into the Second World War. The last examples of them weren't actually retired until 1947, so after World War II ended, they were still, in a number of cases, carrying the Webley Mark VI in 4.55 in place of the newfangled 38-200 chambered No. 2 Mark I or Mark IV 38 revolvers. It's a very sturdy and robust revolver. The hammer pull on it really isn't bad for single action. It's just a single click. It's a fairly long pull to get to that single click, but it's comfortable. It fits the hand well. The biggest concern and the reason that they were replaced was new troops generally had a harder time handling this, fairly monstrous 4.55 Webley over, say, the new 38s that they introduced in the 30s. But this is a cool example. I actually came about this particular one in a weird set of circumstances. A number of my customers at work are aware of my hobby because I just can't keep my mouth shut about old guns, hence my need to create a YouTube channel to, just download my brain into a format that everything's not just rattling around in my head at all times, because if I was trying to keep the facts straight on all, 55 plus guns that I've accumulated over the last number of years, it would be bad. I would be just, shouting at random people that I encountered on the street, like, have you heard of this gun? I just learned a whole bunch of information about it, and now I want to tell you. So this is very much an outlet for me to, again, just kind of download my brain into a place where I'm like, okay, the information is safe. I have it somewhere. I don't need to talk about it constantly. But I still do to a degree. So a lot of my customers at work are aware of this hobby of mine, and one of said customers reached out to me and told me, I've got this old revolver that I've had for decades. It's been sitting in a box in my closet. I don't know what it is. I don't know what caliber it's in. You may be interested in it. And, well, I was. I'm always interested in Webleys, as we talked about in the Enfield Mark VI video. I had been searching for one of these forever, and outside of the two that I've owned, I don't think I've seen a single one that was unshaved. Most of them, and we went over this in the previous video, but sorry, my angle is kind of weird here. Most of these revolvers, when they were sent to the US, the cylinder was shaved to accept 45 ACP in moon clips. This example was not, nor was my previous example. So what wound up happening was I did a trade with the guy. I actually got rid of my Walther PPQ 45. He said he was willing to do this trade in spite of the value discrepancy, of which I was very forward with him about the respective values of this versus, the modern handgun that I was trading him. It was a great gun. I would love to have another one someday, but you do not see these every day, and you really don't see the Australian contract ones very often. Between the interesting, fact of it being an Australian contract revolver and the fact that this is an actual Webley manufactured gun, I pretty soundly decided that this was going to be the one of the two that I kept. I'm not really someone who has a deep desire to have multiple examples of the same gun. If there's a marked difference from one to another, I will keep both. But like, for instance, my multitude of Carcano rifles that I have, all different models, be it the Machado carbine or the M38 or the model 1891 long rifle that I just recently got. And that actually is what wound up happening with the Enfield revolver. I sold that one and kept this example, and that revolver selling funded a number of new guns for me. Namely, the Carcano M91 long rifle, the one that we saw in a first shot short recently. It'll probably be the next gun that I personally demo. Don't know, might be doing a demo between now and then that'll be one of Dylan's guns, and he'll be hosting that video. We'll see. But also the Beretta model 1934, and I'm trying to remember, I was able to fully cover both of those and put money down on a third. I think it may have been the Swiss K31. Not 100% certain on that, but it wound up, you know, funding a lot of expansion for the collection, and I got to keep a Mark VI revolver. In my opinion, a more interesting one than the one that I had previously. So that about wraps up this segment. So let's go ahead and transition to the tabletop, take a look at these Australian markings that I keep on mentioning, as well as maybe a quick look at how to extract the cylinder. The marking I keep referencing as the Australian military stamp, and these stamps did change, but this capital letter D with the broad arrow inside it, seen on the barrel at the tip of my finger there, and on the frame at the tip of my finger there, this is for 1919, and to the best of my understanding, the correct stamp for acceptance by the Australian military. I've seen it hypothesized that this could mean Dominion. I've also seen it stated that this means Department of Defense. The later Australian stamp, where you've got a capital D arrow, then capital D again, is definitely Department of Defense from everything that I can find. Then, of course, with this example, you've got broad arrows on just about everything, you know, inside the trigger there, on the brake catch, on the trigger, broad arrows on everything. So then next to the military acceptance stamp on the frame, you've also got your Webley Mark VI patent information, and then as well, there is also the 1919 date. Now, I had mentioned that this time I'm going to show you how to remove the cylinder. It's actually very simple. So you're going to pop open the gun, and this screw here with the abnormally large slot was meant to be able to be manipulated with just about anything. So what we're actually going to use is a 455 Webley cartridge, and we're going to use the rim. I'm just going to put it in here and turn. But the idea was that, you know, the average soldier may not have, you know, tools on them if their cylinder got locked up a bit. So make it as easy as possible to remove the screw. You could, you know, torque this screw with some pocket change that you had on you pretty easily. So now we're going to move this arm that was held in place by that screw, and you see it acts on this piece here. When you push on that, you can now extract the cylinder. It's pretty simple. Got a broad arrow inside the cylinder as well, and this is all matched to itself. Everything that has a serial number is matched to the frame. Putting it back in is going to be pretty simple. Again, you're just going to slide that, you know, your spring mechanism there into the hole here. And once you get down close to the bottom, you're going to push on that once again to seat it the rest of the way down. Now it should be locked in place. Put that arm back in place and return your screw to its home. It's all pretty daggum simple. And again, we can tighten it with our bullet here. And again, you could do this with just about anything. You don't want to mar up the edges of that slot too much, but it was intended to be done with pocket change if need be. Now, that about covers that. So let's go ahead and take this back out to the range and put another 6 through it. Loading the Mark VI revolver is going to be just like any of the other British top brakes that we've taken a look at. You're just going to push down on this lever and open up the top, and then you've got 6 shots. This is, again, a 455 Webley example. They did make a speed loader for these, the Purdue device, but they're, you know, near non-existent, and if you do find one, they are freakishly expensive. I might try and get my hands on a reproduction someday. but you know, just to maybe make this a little more viable for versus videos. But this is both double action and single action. For the single action, it is a single click, and we're going to fire the first 3 single action and then the next 3 double action. And then to eject, you simply open it back up again and it should shoot all the brass out. If it doesn't, you can pick them out one by one. They're usually not stuck in too firmly. So, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Australian contract, or Aussie contract, if you will. Webley Mark 6 in 455 Webley. Quite an awesome piece. Very glad to have this in my collection. Glad the weird set of circumstances that led to this becoming mine led to it becoming mine. So, anyway, hope you all enjoyed the video. It's been Thomas from Great Northwest Weaponry, and I'll see you guys next time.